I got my own band of air guitarists and air drummers and everything else backstage whenever that's playing.
Rock and roll, man. Rock and roll.
And absolutely. Hey, we got a great show lined up tonight. Thanks, everybody, for being here.
Good guest. Great guest.
Yes, we have an absolute. That's what I mean when I say great show. We got a great guest lined up here. I've looked at some of the, actually put together a long video of stuff he sent. And I'm going to tell you right now, one of them will definitely give you chilly bumps and raise the hair on the back of your head if you see it. It's amazing. Anyway, we'll get to that shortly. Robbie, appreciate you coming on tonight. And Jeff will be with us here shortly. He's taking care of the youngin'. And we got Chad, as always, for Black Easy Zone, and Bucky. So we're already late. I apologize for being late. I had some computer issues, and we got them ironed out. So we're going. Greg House reminded us earlier in chat, tomorrow night, he and Pyro
3-4
will be on Mary Fabian's show, Monkey Wench podcast. I'm not sure the time again, but I think it's 7:30 Eastern. So
sweet.
Yeah, that's when I was on a couple weeks ago. It was like 7:30.
It's 7:30 Eastern. And Thursday night, Bucky and Les Odell will be on with Roger on Squatchin Holler on Untold Radio Network. So make sure you check that out as well. So, but anyway,
Holler.
Squatchin Holler, absolutely.
Right.
I call him Roger Holler these days.
That's what I call him. I call him Holler Roger, but Roger Holler. So anyway, yeah, we want to let's start. Let's dig in, Robbie. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and I'm sure everybody knows who you are. But tell us about yourself and why in the world are you in this crazy subject of Bigfoot and Dogman and all the above?
Wild and weird.
I was a hunter. I always started, young, small area, small community, lived down on the lake. I always call myself a lake orphan. I spent a lot of time hunting, fishing, riding ATVs, and I just basically lived in the woods and the lake bottoms. And, occasionally I would catch a glimpse of something, and me and my best friend, and we kept thinking we saw something, but everybody kept telling us, no, that's not really what you saw. I mean, you might have saw a squirrel, a raccoon running around a tree or something like that. You didn't, those things don't exist. So there's no way you saw one. And so we, kind of started putting it to the back of our minds that, okay, well, maybe we are misinterpreting what we're seeing. And then for the longest time, I watched TV shows and watch, In Search Of and things of that nature and all the, the programming. But I kind of put it in the back of my mind that, maybe I'm not seeing what I think I'm seeing. And then I spent a good amount of time in the woods hunting, nothing weird. I always hunt in this area around my house. And then in 2017, I was just going to go do a little squirrel hunting on the way home from work one day. I kept a .22 rifle in my truck, and I just hit the local woods down here. No big deal, right? I'm not far off the road. It's a side road, but it's a well-traveled side road. I get maybe 7,500 feet away from the truck, and I think I see a squirrel. So just this little 3-power scope on a little semi-automatic .22, nothing fancy. So I just post up on the tree, and I'm watching this squirrel, and I'm thinking, it's probably too far of a shot. And then from behind me, I hear the most god-awful loud footsteps come running at me. And I'm freaking out, and I spin around, and I've got this little .22, what am I going to do with something big? There's nothing there. I see absolutely nothing. And I'm kind of freaking out a little bit because, this is the loudest footsteps I've ever heard. And I'm sitting there, I've still got my gun up. And then I look for minutes, literally minutes. I'm just standing here trying to spot anything. And then in the back of my head, I literally hear, you need to leave. And I'm freaking out, because I'm the only one here, but I'm hearing another voice that isn't my voice. So I kind of, look and keep looking and looking, and then am I losing my mind here? I got to make this make sense somehow. So I do a semicircle out, and I'm looking for a disturbed earth, a broken tree limb, something, a rock's tumbled down the hill. I'm trying to look for a logical reason why I heard these loud sounds that definitely sounded like footsteps. And I can't find anything out of place. There's nothing disrupted. There's no overturned rocks. And then again, in the back of my head, I hear, "Leave now." Wow. It is clear. It's almost a rough, gruff kind of sound. And it felt like it pushed into my head.
Just and in your head, not outside your head. You heard it in your head.
It was like a really aggressive thought.
Uh-huh.
But it was not my voice. It was not a voice that I've ever heard. And it freaked me out. Like I have, it's took me a while to get comfortable with even talking about it, because, it's hard enough to get people to believe you've seen the things you've seen and heard the things you've heard. But when you say that you had telepathy on top of it, a lot of people just boom, they immediately click out, and I'm not going to beg anybody to believe me, because I was the only one there.
Right.
I know I'm not the only one that's ever experienced this, but it's definitely it's a hard sell for a lot of people, and I get it. Like I can imagine a point in my life where I would have said, "Oh, okay, yeah, whatever." But I talked with Harley Owens about it, and Harley's been a big help to me, and he told me, is that what happened? I'm like, yeah, it's absolutely what happened. He said, and that's your truth. And he said, nobody can take that from you. But he said, other people may need to hear your story to know that they have someone they can talk to.
Right.
And that's kind of what stalled me on coming out with it and talking about it. Is I want to be a help to someone else, because I needed help and I needed somebody to talk to. And this community has been so great.
Yeah, once you get you find out there's a lot more people that was like that. They didn't want to say anything, and then once they hear it, then they'll come out and talk to you about it.
Yeah. And I'm sure I've been the butt of a few jokes. I'm sure some people chuckled at me when I turned and walked away. That's fine. I got tough skin. I've been through a whole lot worse than that. So, but yeah, that was my introduction to this environment and this. It's a life now. I mean, I can't turn and walk away from this. I can't just pretend like this didn't happen. It's just changed my entire outlook on the woods and I mean, basically life in general, because now I'm wondering, like, okay, well, if that was beyond my control, it happened, what else is there?
Right.
Right. Yeah, I cringe when I hear people say, I want to see a Bigfoot so bad. I want to see it. I'm like, man, be very careful what you wish for, because your life will change forever.
Oh yeah, there's no going back. Once you've seen one, and there's no going back.
Yeah.
Did coming out and talking about it help you as well? How you felt? I'm sure keeping it inside has got to eat at you. It's that way with anything. But then you find a comfortable group to talk with, and everybody starts. When you, oh yeah, I had mine speak as well, and I saw something just like you saw, and then you're like, okay, so I'm amongst the right people, because I say there's more people out there that have seen these things that won't admit it because they're afraid of what you said, that they're afraid of being made fun of or people thinking they're whack jobs, and I've been in this long enough now to realize that. This is a true thing. I mean, I've always believed in them, and I've heard so many experiences now that there is no way I can't believe it. Just because I haven't had one doesn't mean anything. So I love that you came out and talked, and that's great.
Yeah.
How long was it before you talked to somebody?
It was years. I would tell people about hearing the loud footsteps, but I kind of would leave the telepathy part out of it.
Uh-huh.
It was hard enough to get somebody to, like, well, was it a bear? Well, no, it wasn't a bear. I mean, whatever came running at me sounded like it weighed 1,500 pounds. And as I was literally turning, I was expecting there to be a literal bull, a steer, or an elk. I'm expecting a massive animal to be running at me, and there's nothing there.
Yeah, I've heard like that. Turn around and they're expecting a bull or an elk or even an elephant. I had somebody tell me one time they thought they were going to turn around. There was an elephant standing there. It sounded so loud.
Yeah, I mean, it was chilling how loud the sound was.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking I'm a dead man. I really do. As I'm turning, I'm like, oh God, this is it. I'm done. This is how it ends. And then I would say that a few more times.
How fast afterwards did you go back into the woods after you had this experience?
It was probably a year. And I didn't go back there. And I've hunted that spot since I was 13-year-old. And I just quit going there. And I went to another spot about a mile away, and I tried to hunt there. And the first time that I went there hunting, I walked in about a mile, and I found this huge tree. And I like lever guns. I had a Marlin 30-30.
All right.
And so I go find me a spot, and I can oversee this gulch. And I had a good view for a good 75 yards. And it started to mist or rain. I got my poncho out, and I put my poncho on, and I'm kind of huddled up on my little foam pad, trying to be small and quiet. I just kind of got comfortable, so I put my head against the back of the barrel of the gun and just was listening. And then just everything went 100% dead quiet.
Oof.
And I noticed it immediately. It was like a little slap in the head. I was like, wait a minute, something's not right here.
Now, go ahead. Keep interrupting.
No, go ahead.
Do you look back now and think about when you were younger and you hunted those woods, that some of those things that you heard and saw, that maybe that was what you might have been seeing something like that, or any noises you heard?
I'm convinced that probably at least 40 to 50% of what I saw and heard probably was them. Just keep an eye on us. We were just kids, teenagers out there goofing off, playing. We'd play army, or chasing each other with sticks and just being stupid. And I'm sure they probably got a few good laughs out of the stupidity I was doing. But that day I got up that day and just I backtracked out as quick as I could and just exited the woods that day. And that really kind of like solidified my fear of the woods a little bit more.
I could hear
going
back to the group going, you should have seen what those kids were doing to each other today.
Right.
If you were
rocks today, it was sticks. They were beating each other up.
If you were like me playing army in the woods, it was with Daisy Red Ryder BB guns. That's what we
would take PVC pipes and shoot bottle rockets at each other. That's how stupid we were.
Oh.
You ever try rubbing candle on a four-wheeler?
You should really try ziplining nude. Notice I waited till he took a big bite of food before I said that.
Yeah.
My best friend, one of his favorite stories is there was 3 creek beds that fed this lake, And he lost count one day. I'm riding on the back of his little 80 Yamaha with him, right? Well, he clears the second creek bed and he starts gapping it, you know, and I'm like, hey, you want to slow down for that other creek bed? He goes, that was the third creek bed. Like, no, it wasn't. And I said, yes, that was the second one. Slow your ass down.
Did he not do good with math in school?
I went Superman, and I slid across a bunch of rocks on my stomach.
Ooh.
So we got a lot of stories like that.
Yeah, same here. So what? After that incident, when did your next experience happen?
That was actually on Christmas Day of 2021. You know, we have multiple family get-togethers and stuff, and we had Christmas with my parents on Christmas Eve, but I still wanted to go see them on Christmas morning. So I got up and was going to leave about 8:30 in the morning to go visit them, and they're just 3 miles up the road. But I have to drive through those woods where I had the mind speak. And my wife said, hey, since you're going up to your mom and dad's, you want to look for that big buck I saw the other day. And I said, like, was it a really big one? She goes, oh, it was huge. It's one of the biggest bucks I've ever seen. She said it was probably, you know, a 12, 14 pointer. And I'm like, crap, you know, I've never taken a big buck like that. I'm a meat eater. You know, if a doe walks in front of me and I can shoot doe, I'll shoot a doe. I don't care. I just want meat to eat. I love deer meat. But, you know, the man in me would not mind having a big deer head on the wall. if my wife would let me hang one there. But, yeah, I started up through there and I slow down. I'm running like 20 mile an hour. Like I said, it's a back road and not a whole lot of traffic on it. And I look off to the left-hand side, 60, 65 feet. There's a Bigfoot just strolling, like not running. It's not hiding. It's just cool. Walking.
You know, cool.
Yeah. If you can imagine Patty, but from the back, that's what it looked like. And it was reddish brown hair, about 3 to 4 inches. As it was walking, I could see the hair whip off the back of the calf. I could see the foot flex as it was taking the steps.
What time of day was it? What was the weather like?
It was it's winter, you know, it's December 21st, and down here in Tennessee, everything looks dead around that time of year.
Yeah.
Everything's kind of brown. But if it had stood still at those trees, I probably never would have saw it. I mean, I'm looking for deer. I'm not looking for Bigfoot, you know? Uh-huh. And it was around 8 foot, reddish brown, and it was just, we're going parallel to one another. We're going in the same direction, 60, 65 feet apart. And it paid me no mind whatsoever. And, you know, looking back on that, that's really blows your mind. Like, there was no attempt to hide. There was no attempt to evade. It was just like, it never looked at me. Nothing. Yeah. I never saw the face. All I saw was from behind and kind of a side view. But it never looked in my direction. It was like I wasn't even there.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah. That kind of hurt my feelings now that I think about it. You know, I wasn't even important enough to even look at. But, you know.
That's kind of odd. That's interesting. Well, maybe it was just ignoring you and didn't find you as a threat and just didn't bother with you, or
I mean, you know, maybe
you were that sneaky.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I as a Dodge 4x4 truck, it wasn't quiet, you know. But
did you get your idle fixed on it? You told me that.
No, I still ain't figured that out. It's driving me nuts. But yeah, we pull up to a stop sign, it'll just die.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's really inconvenient when you're in town.
It's like those new cars that shut off at every intersection, except it doesn't start back up for you.
Yeah.
Maybe my truck thinks it's fancy now.
Look for any vacuum leaks. I'm an old Dodge guy, but I don't know how old your truck is, but
yeah, it's 04.
04? Okay.
Yeah, I've tried spraying carburetor cleaner around it while it's running and stuff, and nothing changes.
Okay. Wow.
Robbie, how tall did you think that was?
It was around 8 foot.
Okay.
Yeah. Reddish brown hair, kind of like have you seen a chow dog that's the kind of that reddish brown?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I used to have one, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Like Jeff's beard, yeah.
At the shoulders.
Seriously, I'm not being funny.
Yeah,
it's a very common color.
It was kind of built like Shaquille O'Neal. That's why I would say you take Shaquille O'Neal and put 3-inch hair on him. That's how it was built. It wasn't like, massively broad. It wasn't skinny. It was kind of, I've heard people say more like a basketball player. It was not small, but not massive.
Okay.
Conical or more rounded, maybe, or
more rounded, not real conical. It's a little more rounded.
It's amazing because we were always told early on, how these things are always conical, but there's a lot of reports of rounded heads.
And there's been a lot of reports of the reddish brown ones in this area.
Yes. Yep. That seems to be a popular color for what it's worth.
Yeah. But there are black ones around here. I've had 5 different people tell me about seeing black ones around here.
Right.
What about a mix, like a something with white?
I've not seen any light at all. It's either been red or black.
Red or black?
Yeah, nothing light colored. But there was a story about a guy. He was hunting on the mountain up here about 5 miles from here. I heard it on a podcast. And he was in a tree stand, and he had a reddish brown 8-foot one, very similar to what I saw. It walked straight under his tree stand, got about 20 feet, and just stopped like he just lassoed it. It just dead stopped, rotated its body, not its head, because it turned the whole body, and looked dead at him in the tree. It didn't know he was there until it passed him, but then it locked in on it's something, it sensed him being there and just turned and looked right at him.
Or smelled him.
And, yeah. Wow. And he was bow hunting too, so he didn't even have a gun.
I heard that story.
But the second that it spotted him, it just launched up the hill and just darted away. It just got away from him.
How about vocalizations? Have you heard a lot of vocalizations over the last few years? Or?
I've only heard one call, and it was like the Ohio howl. And it was at 4:30 in the morning. I was getting ready to get in the truck to go to work, and I heard it over on the lake. It was 4 calls, and it was that long, trailing 2-tone like the Ohio howl. And I've heard one scream, and that scream was terrible because I went outside about 11 o'clock at night to throw some scraps out along the tree line there, let the raccoons have it. And I threw the stuff down. I took about 4 or 5 steps back toward the house, and just most ear-piercing, loud scream came from, seemed like 100 or 200 yards away, but it felt like it was right on the back of my neck.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not going to lie, I may have peed myself a little bit that time. Because,
I'd be happy to do a feed.
It makes me wonder how many people, put these compost piles out and they're actually feeding boogers.
Yeah.
And not the furry woodland creatures.
Well, there's a guy recently told me about taking deer and throwing them off this spot. And he said when he goes to throw something else there, there's never any remains of the deer. But if he throws a coyote or a dog or something like that over, those remains will still be there. But the deer always disappear. So,
wow,
that's interesting.
I think I'd be more afraid. I don't know. The howl would probably scare me more than seeing one, as long as it didn't see me. But a howl moves out there and it knows probably that I'm there, and that's even scarier if I don't see it and it knows I'm there.
Immediately after that, every dog in the neighborhood went off. They were just all yapping and it was going on, and by that time, I'm already on the porch locking the door.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
makes you wonder about that if people are actually having all their treats outside taken by these things and not what they think they're feeding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no telling.
I think all the years here now that my mother down below me here will throw all her stuff over the bank. You know, we got Steve
My
Hank from upstairs
grandparents
down the road.
and
That's where all the scrap food goes.
my grandparents would always throw all their compost out. Now I throw stuff out to these chickens, but my girlfriend, they at their house, they take a whole big pile of stuff out back of their place, and they started getting raccoons this year, so I had to go deal with that mess.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I got an alarming start to my day there a couple of weeks ago. I came out and there were 2 skunks out there.
Oh boy!
Ooh.
Oh,
And I thought, I'm going to buffalo them and scare them off. Hell no, that little sucker bore down and he looked like a badger. He hopped at me. And that tail came up and I was like, you can have it, brother. It's yours. I'm gone.
well, I was running those coon cuff traps, trying to catch the ones at her house. I caught a skunk in there. I called Jerry. I said, "There's only one way this skunk's getting released, and it ain't gonna be my hand."
Yeah, you're kind of stuck in that situation.
My dad used to get them up in Ohio, and my dad was he was big into his yard. Loved to have the green grass, loved to take care of no weeds, and the skunks would come and dig the grubs up so they'd tear his yard up. So he would literally dress in all black, and this is at time he was probably 65. He would dress in all black like a ninja. He had an old side-by-side 12 gauge. He'd take the flashlight to the barrel, and at night he'd sit out there, and when they'd come in, he'd spot them and shoot them real quick.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he didn't live in the country. He lived on the outskirts of town. So
Oh, wow.
people are hearing 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning gunshots. And that's outside of Dayton, Ohio. So if you know anything about Dayton, Ohio,
Oh, I'm sure the cops' phones were ringing.
it's a whole
Somebody
different
just
thing.
got shot.
You've heard me describe living here. When I hear gunshots, I know people are shooting targets or they're hunting.
It's like out here.
That
Dayton,
whole-
Ohio, you know where those bullets are intended.
We get those people out here, Jerry. Jerry knows who I'm talking about. The
I
people
know.
that move out here, and then every time they hear a gunshot, they're like calling the cops, like, "Oh my God, anybody hear?" And then it's on the community page. Anybody hear that boom? I was like,
Yeah.
that was me checking my rifle scope.
Growing up, you're talking about
Gunshots
shooting
all the
the
time.
skunks. My neighbor one weekend had a skunk up under his house. Dad told me, and he was drunk and he didn't know how to get it out from under the house. So he took a 22, crawled up under the house, and shot the skunk. And his wife made him sleep in the trailer in the house. And she went and stayed at her mom's till the smell was gone.
Oh, I bet that's
nasty.
Yep.
One of our farm dogs actually tried to bite one on the butt last year, and it sprayed him right up. I mean, you could only smell it when he opened his mouth. And Mom's like, "What's wrong? Why is he drooling?" I was like, "Well, he's your dog. You take care of him." And I went home.
So Robbie, did you have any experiences after that one?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I've had tracks literally in my backyard. So I know somebody, maybe in the video I sent, there's a trackway literally that goes right to my bedroom window. Like there was a 17-inch track 3 feet from my bedroom window.
Wow.
So, there's people that say sometimes you can be tagged or, I don't know about all that, but I know I never had any issues until after I saw one. And then I started finding tracks in my backyard. The motion lights would go off. And every time I'd try to see anything, I never could see anything. And I'd be laying here watching TV and I'd see the motion lights come on in the window. I'd go look, every now and then I'd go full redneck. I'd grab a 12 gauge and a flashlight and hit the backyard, trying to figure out what's in my yard.
Kick the door open, do a
Did
barrel
you ever
roll.
were the prints all
Yep.
the same size, or were they different size prints?
I've had 14 and 17 here.
Oh, wow.
Anything
Okay.
cast? or just where you could tell that there was prints?
You could tell there were prints, and I had a friend come over, and he's over 300 pounds. He couldn't make a dent in the ground there, not at all.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
So whatever this was had to have been, somewhere in the upwards of 600 to 700 pounds minimum.
Wow.
So
How far apart were the prints in that trackway?
they were almost 5 feet apart.
Daggone, that's pretty tall.
I was having to take 2 steps to get to each one of it.
Oh,
And how tall are you?
I'm 5'7",
5'7".
5'7.5" on a good day.
There you go. You got to go.
Sorry, Jeff. Sorry, Jeff.
It takes, it
Sorry,
takes
Jeff.
about
He's
8.
only got about an inch on me, so I feel better now. Inch
Well, I
and a
told him
half.
when
No,
I
I
was-
was just saying.
It
You said it
depends
takes
on
you
which-
2 strides to equal one of theirs, so.
It depends on which gas station and which pair of boots I'm wearing.
When we were at McMinnville, I got a picture with me, with Harley, and Daryl Denton. and I told him I look like a hairy child standing next to him.
I was gonna say.
You're going to see that picture shortly. You're going to see it
Harley's
shortly.
very tall, and Daryl's probably 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I think they're taller than that.
Is
Yeah.
We'll play that. We'll play that here in a little bit.
Yeah,
Funniest thing everybody laughs about is me and Mark Green and Jerry,
Oh, that
Because
photo.
you see
took
them,
at the
and then
campground,
I'm
yeah.
down here.
Yeah, it's like me and Mark are up here, and here's Jeff down here, and center between us, and we're up here.
that's
It's
literally
our
like
own
I look,
juvenile Bigfoot.
I tell
look up to
every
the
time I
people
try to
eating.
describe Jerry and I together, it's like Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger are twins.
That's hilarious. Oh, you're taller than Pops. Wow.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like
Wow.
5'5", 5'6". Good Lord, is Gary 5'4"?
You know, but wait till you're Gary's age. You'll be short.
Okay.
Shorter.
Good point. Good point. That's
Robbie,
awesome. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
you said you found how many different trackways have you found at your house?
that's the only trackway I've found, but I've found prints multiple times.
Multiple times? Like, what about in the snow or anything like that?
I hate the snow. I don't go out in the snow.
He's a true Tennessean right there. Yeah.
Like, screw that.
It looks good in pictures, and that's about it. I mean, we'll go outside, make a pot of snow cream, and I'm done with the snow.
I was gonna say down here, I've learned difference between Dayton and Tennessee or Ohio and
Oh,
Tennessee.
we've made a lot of snow cream.
If there's an inch, if they predict an inch, schools are closed.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That's the way it's getting here now. We had a lot of snow this winter. Not like, well, we had a couple storms that were pretty deep, but it's. I remember going to snow with 12, 13, 14 inches on the ground here back, way back when. But
Oh, God.
today 1 inch.
Yeah,
You're
they
not going to
call it
school.
off.
It's crazy, man.
So
I here recently, I do check more often, though. All joking aside, I do check more often now. But after having some of the footprints right near my window, and there was a time where I saw eyes up on the bank behind the house. I could see it from the back door, and I tried to get a picture, and it didn't work because the camera was right against the window and the backlight and stuff. It didn't work out, but I saw eyes up on the bank up there, and I said, well, it's time for cameras to go up now. So we have surveillance cameras up now. And
Have you had any success with them?
They don't come around them.
the lights.
I've got motion lights and cameras, and the cameras have motion lights on them. And I just wasn't comfortable with the idea of them coming here,
Right, sure. I was going to say that'll probably deter them.
Yeah. And, well, the most recent event that I had was I literally had one. I've got a small shed in the back, and there's a blind spot behind it. And I've been out there working, and I came out. It's like just after dark. I go over to my fire pit, and I've got some little scraps of wood. And I'm going to put them in the fire pit and burn them, get rid of them. And one of the motion lights, not where that is, but one of the other motion lights came on. So something else tripped it. And I look back, and there's literally one standing behind my building.
Wow.
And I can see the silhouette of the whole side of it. It was, I could see this side, the right side. It was up against the building.
Maybe you got a buddy.
Well, I actually took a few steps toward it to verify that it was a Bigfoot or a forest person and not somebody, because I'm never out. I'm always armed if I'm outside. I'm like Greg House. If I don't go anywhere unarmed, and I had a 9mm with a 800 lumen light on it, and where I was busting those wood blocks up, I had a machete in my hand. So I take a few steps there, and I'm 30 feet. There's nothing between me and it but this little rickety old table I used to shoot fireworks off of. And I'm looking, I can see the side of the head, I can see the shoulders, the arm, and the just a little bit of the side area. And I just look, and I'm like, I see you over there. No motion, nothing. And I said, well, I'm going to go back up here to my fire pit now. And I took a couple of steps backwards, and then I went back to my fire pit, and I just stood there, and it stood there for another minute, maybe a minute and a half. And it just drifted back into the trees and left.
Now, could you hear it walk off?
No. If I'm assuming a rabbit or something set off that motion light, because I have rabbits in my backyard all the time. If it had not set off that motion light, I never would have known it was there.
There's
because
no way
behind the building it's so dark at night.
There's no way
and
it
what
the light off.
Well, what's kind of bothered me after that was, like, if it was behind there while I was in the building, it was literally 2.5 feet from me at one point.
Wow.
With just that little thin wall between us, and I had no clue it was there.
Wow.
To me, I think you got a friend.
Yeah.
That sounds weird.
Well,
I mean, you got one that knows you, understands you, likes you. Have you noticed anything odd around the house, like presents or gifts or anything like that?
No. I started leaving a few apples back there just to see if they would get gone, and the apples always get gone. But that could have been a possum or a raccoon. I'm not going to definitely say they're taking the apples, because I don't know. And I don't want to put a camera back there, because if I put a camera back there and it is them, then they're going to say that I don't trust, I'm not trustworthy.
Right.
What if you made a platform or found a place up in a tree or something? Would
Yeah. I hadn't put a whole lot of thought into it, actually.
I'm with you, though. It's sort of like the Greg House thing, he knows they're there. He's seen them, but he doesn't want to aggravate them. He doesn't want to, he likes them there. They're not destroying anything, but
yeah,
they do scare the shite, out of him.
Yeah.
How about,
yeah,
how about, have you smelled much? Any kind of scents or odors?
The only time I have ever smelled one was when me and Harley were over in his research area. Never a smell, ever. But, and if they smell like a lot of people say they do most of the time, I probably don't want to.
Right.
You guys have had some interesting stuff happen at Harley's too.
Oh yeah. They that's kind of the crescendo. That's the rough one for me. Like, that one behind my house didn't scare me. Like, the idea that I didn't know it was there is a little unsettling, but I didn't get a bad vibe. I didn't get a bad feel.
Yes.
I didn't go inside and have nightmares or anything like that. But yeah, when me and Harley got our little adventure over in his research area, that was a wild one. We've been in there hours, and we were finding tracks all over the place. And it had rained the day before, and we were finding tracks anywhere from 14 to 22 inches. And we found a handprint that was 10 inches in there's a spring in there. And I think it's probably in the video if you put it in there. Yep. But there's a tree that had been pulled over and made an arch over this spring, and we think they did that to mark where the spring is. Yep. And if you look at how the top of that tree is placed, now this tree is like 20 feet on the other side of the spring, but it's been pulled all the way across over 30-something, 40-something feet, and perfectly placed under 3 trees in 3 different directions. There's absolutely no way that happened naturally. It couldn't.
No.
And then, so we get down in there, and there's this whole area is tore up. It looked like a herd of deer or a herd of pigs come running through there. And then there's one big flat spot on the ground that looks like something had been laying there. And right in front of that mashed down spot, there's one perfect handprint right there. And Harley got down and measured it. You know, Harley's 6'6". He spread his hand out. His hand spread was 6 inches. The hand spread in the mud was 10 inches. And
we'll see that shortly.
Yeah, it was you know, pretty wild. And I'm thinking, you know, because I've had experiences and stuff that they were tossing rocks at us. At one point, they threw a tree limb, and we had been in there, like I say, for hours, and we're heading back out. And I get these little vibes every now and then. I'm not a medium. I'm not a, you know, nothing like that. I'm not even claiming to be nothing like that. But I get these little vibes, you know. I get like a little, I say I'm a little sensitive. And I kept telling Harley, as you know, Harley had mentioned something about, well, you know, I got to leave to get ready for work, so we can't stay out real long. And I'm noticing, like, I'm starting to look at, you know, the time here, and like, I don't want to be in these woods in the dark. I absolutely do not want to be in these woods and it get dark. And we're 1.5 miles in. So we start back out, and that's when the one video that you're going to get to here in a minute, where there's something in the background, that's when we got that. Harley hears something. I'm watching Harley. I pan over. Harley does a whoop. And then I look and see something, and I zoom in on it. And then it moves. I change locations. I try to see what I can still see. I lose it in the laurels. These laurels are crazy. Like, some of them are 15 feet high, and you could hide a football team behind them, and you'd never know they were there. So the entire time we're in here, they've shadowed us in. They're shadowing us back out. You hear, like, you take the footstep and you stop, and then there's one more step. That happened for hours in there. So we felt like we were escorted by at least 3, possibly 4 of them, going by the different size tracks, the noises. We're getting stuff on both sides of us. I mean, for somebody like me who's never had anything close to this happen, I mean, I'm on edge, but I'm also excited because, like, this is what I came for, right? Like, I came to see something. I came to have an adventure. I came to learn. So, like I said, we've had rock clacks. We've had light tree taps. We've had stuff thrown at us. And then all of a sudden, I get the smell. And it was very acidic. It was like somebody who's went 4 or 5 days without a shower, but was sweating profusely. It was a very pungent, acidic smell.
So BO.
And it was like
beyond BO.
Yeah, it's on that next level, like pungent, like, you know, almost makes you get nauseous kind of smell.
Like some of my employees.
So I get Harley's attention. I'm like pointing at my nose, and then he didn't smell it at first, and then he got a whiff of it. And he's like, oh, yeah, there it is. So we move up another little bit more, and all of a sudden we start getting growls. And they're not like, our line roaring or nothing like that. They're subdued, but it's enough that you can hear it. And we get 3 growls.
About how far away do you think?
Probably no more than 30, 35 feet. Like it was close. Yeah. So I'm kind of mentioning to Harley, I think it's time we move along. You know, I'm getting a little bit of a bad vibe here.
Yeah.
So at this point, I kind of move ahead of Harley. Not that I'm gonna try to leave him or anything. Don't nobody think that. But I get ahead of him because I'm trying to turn around, and I'm trying to be a photographer. That's what I feel like my position of this is. I'm just trying to record, and I turn around, and all of a sudden you start hearing something come off the hill at a run, and Harley's like, "Go." And then all of a sudden you start to hear the laurel snapping and cracking. And it was like the Kool-Aid Man commercials. You know what I mean?
Oh,
this
yeah.
thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And there's sticks flying, there's leaves flying. And Harley's like, "Go, go, go." And, like I said, I'm a little chubby, and I'm not an athlete by any means. So I'm trying to get up this bank. And all of a sudden, Harley literally knife hands me in the lower back and goes, "Go!" He's right behind me. And I look over my shoulder, and I see its shoulder and head above Harley's head. Like I said, I'm 5'7", Harley's 6'6". So I'm looking over Harley, and I can see it behind him, but over him.
Wow.
Y'all were in the woods running?
Yeah, we're running. We're going up a bank at this point because we're trying to get back up to the clearing where we came in at. And this thing's probably 35 feet behind Harley, and I can see its entire shoulders and head above Harley, and with me looking over him from 35 feet away.
He was making sure you were going. He's putting messages in here.
He said he felt puny.
Yeah, he said he felt puny. Yeah. There you go.
And literally we get up the bank, we get to the clearing, and it stopped. Thank God it stopped.
It didn't want to come out in the clearing.
Well, I honestly, at this point, the more I've thought about it, I think it just wanted us to move along. I think it had had enough of us. It was done. And I think it was probably the dominant one, and the others had been following us and keeping track with us. And I think the big boy just like, "It's time for y'all to go." And I'm going to tell you, it's time for you to go. And so we get to the clearing, and we're standing there, we're getting our breath, and at this point it dawns on me, "Hey, dumbass, you've got a gun."
Yeah, but
I didn't want to pull it, but I did put my hand inside. I've got a chest rig, and I put my hand on it, and I felt just a tiny bit better. But
the false sense of security.
Yeah, it's a security blanket.
What before we start going through pictures and stuff, I want to back up just a second.
Yeah.
How did you get involved in researching them?
With Harley.
Did you?
I went to the.
Go ahead, please explain. Sorry.
I went to the Gatlinburg convention at the convention center, and I had actually seen a couple of videos of Harley, so I knew who he was before I got there. And right about the time I ran into him, Martin Groves had walked up. So I met Harley and Martin Groves at almost the exact same moment.
Okay.
And then, yeah. And I immediately got a good vibe from both of them, and I thought, these are people I could be friends with. And so I told Harley before we left, I was like, "Hey, I'd like to, stay in contact with you and discuss some of the stuff." And Harley gave me his phone number, and we've been friends ever since.
Awesome. I was just curious how you got into it. That's definitely a person to talk to get into it. That's for sure. 2 of them.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like with the amount of activity Harley has and the amount of activity I have, it's like, what's going to happen when you put us together? Is are we going to draw the heat, or are we just nothing's going to happen? and we drew the heat.
Love you.
You know.
Well, let me tell you something, Robbie. You were talking about Greg House earlier. Me and Flat Rock and Greg and some of the other guys in the chat, like Pat Noble and them, we all do a night chat.
Mm-hmm.
If you want something to happen, if you just want to be present for some sort of experience, if Flat Rock and Greg are on the chat, somebody's house is going to get slapped. Something's going to get dinged on outside. You're going to walk outside to smoke a cigarette. There's going to be eye shot in the damn yard.
Yeah.
I don't even need to go anywhere to have an experience. I can just call them, go on video chat, and something happens outside the house.
Yep.
I've heard Roger talk about that. You know, he's like, I'm just going to the car. Leave me alone. I'm just going to the car, guys.
Well, Roger was at Greg's one night, and him and Peyton were there, and Peyton's looking out the damn storm door, and one come running past the side of the house.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Have you ever?
Yep, he froze up.
I think Roger froze up.
Lucky.
You gonna call him Roger again? Roger, you froze up.
I keep calling
Yeah, Roger.
because he looks
Danny
like
boy.
Roger Williams. We call Roger.
Danny froze up. We'll have to take it. I'll take a. There you are. You're back. Go ahead. Try again.
Have you had anything slap the house or the building or anything like that, or whenever you're home?
no, I mean, they're pretty calm. I mean, they don't do much to bother me here. So it's more the idea of it, you know, than it is. I've actually had people tell me and say, well, you know, why are you so afraid? They don't bother you. I mean, clearly, if they wanted to grab you, they would have grabbed you before now. And I'm trying to make peace with that, you know, and I would love to go hunting again. I love, you know, hunting was my peaceful thing in life, hunting and fishing. And I'm trying to,
Just go.
you know, I'm trying to be a brave little soldier, you know, I'm trying to soldier up here and try to get back out there. But I've seen, you know, a lot of these people have had bad experiences, and I don't want to have a bad experience like that. This chase, you know, it was probably more of a bluff charge than it was a chase, but in my mind, it was a chase. You know, it's like the mouse doesn't know the cat's playing with it. You know what I mean? The mouse thinks it's going to die.
Right.
Well,
That's
And
go
so
along with Chad's question, how long have you been researching, and when did you meet Harley and them? When was it?
I think it was 2023. I believe that's when it was.
23.
Yeah, I'm not real good with, you know, it's kind of all running together on me now. But I've been I've been to multiple conventions and shows now, and I've been to both the shows over there, the one in Townsend, the one in Gatlinburg, multiple times, and I've got to meet, you know, a lot of the big names and stuff, and but like for building relationships and stuff, you know, Harley's the one that me and him really like clicked, and we chat and we keep up with each other, you know, and what's going on. And but down at the McMimble show, you know, everybody took me in down there. I still talk about how great everybody was to me at that show. You know, I wound up right in front of Greg's table, and Greg looks up at me and goes, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm nobody," you know. He goes, "No, you're somebody. Who are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm Harley's friend from up in East Tennessee." He goes, "Well, what's your story, man? What's going on?" You know. And then Mark comes up, and Mark introduces himself, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, I know this guy from somewhere, and I'd seen him in, I think it was one of the documentaries, and then I'm sitting here thinking, like, I'm looking around like, I know all these people. I just didn't realize I know all these people, you know. I talked to Flat Rock. I didn't know Yeah. Well, I didn't know who Flat Rock was, and me and him had a 10-minute conversation. And then somebody goes, "Oh, have you met Flat Rock?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you know, we'd been over there. We'd already had a 10-minute conversation, you know." we're comparing photos on our phone and tracks.
Flat Rock's a legend. Flat Rock is a legend.
Yeah.
He has got some serious activity, man. It's amazing.
Well, now that I look back on it, and just that day, I was in the presence of so many years of experience.
Oh yeah.
Good.
And
presence of greatness.
Denton, Daryl Denton, Martin Groves, Dano, Greg House, Roger. I mean, there were so many. Hellbent Holler. There are a lot of people there that do a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I gained a lot of knowledge and friendships and respect, and I could have stayed down there for 4 days talking to everybody, and it wouldn't have been any different.
That's right.
That
was
was
a
the
question.
is talking to everybody and getting to find out their information that you can use, and sharing your information that they can use, and just like on here. I mean, whenever you talk to somebody, I mean, I find out stuff every week, and even talking to Chad and Jerry and Mr. Absent down there,
Mr. Absent,
Milkman himself,
or Jeffrey.
Yeah, I mean, the more you can learn and the more you can share is what this is about. It's kind of like a big family, like
Learning.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, it's like I've told people, I'm not trying to be famous. I'm not looking to be the one that drags one out of the woods and goes, "Look, world,"
Right.
I'm just an average guy having a supernatural experience,
Mhm.
And I'd like to, if I can help somebody, that's my goal at this point.
Exactly.
Good for you. Yep.
Talking about
I know what it's like when I didn't feel like I had somebody to talk to about it, and it's not a good feeling.
It just feel like you're ready to explode, I mean,
and then when you hear,
go ahead.
You hear somebody making fun of the subject, and you give them that little eye roll, like, if you only knew, if you only knew the things I know, if you only knew the things that Greg knows and Kumbo knows.
Oh.
I've had family members, look at me and say, "Are you sure?
Yeah.
What are you saying? No, it can't be." And when
I get the. What are you talking about? There ain't nothing out there. I've never seen one. I've hunted some of the backwoods. Blah blah. I said, "Were you looking for them?
I've
Was
always
it on
been
your mind to look for them?"
I've always been the open-minded person, because I know what this world is, and I know that there's more to this world than what we see, and there's so much unexplored world. So when so much of the earth, water, and trees, forests that we've not explored, and for people just to discount, those things right away. Oh, they can't exist. They don't exist. Why? Well, we've never found a body. Okay, well, you've never found a coelacanth either, but they've been extinct.
Yeah.
Extinct for millions of years, but wow, they're still alive.
And they're eating them off the island of Madagascar. So
there's creatures out there that are around.
Yeah.
And we just
Really loud.
we don't see them. That's just how it works.
Yeah, UFOs don't exist either, right?
Right. Whether it be by one of the things I always mention is electronic currents of our body, maybe our vibrations give people the way to see. Maybe they can see them that way, or they'll show themselves when they want to show themselves, and they read everybody, and if they don't want to show themselves to you, they don't show themselves. I mean, these things have been around probably longer than us, and or at least, well, obviously this group, but longer than us. So they've learned to adapt to everything, and they did it without modifying anything, without electronics, without that kind of stuff. So they still live the way they lived before, and they know how to hide.
Yeah, there was a question earlier. Patrick Noble, speaking of goats or legends, Patrick Noble asked if you use like a FLIR or night vision or anything.
I've got one of the most generic night visions there absolutely is, and it's like $40, and you got to turn it on the maximum to see anything with it. But
so it's like the camera, one of those flip phones from the 90s, is what you're saying?
Yeah. I I kind of don't want to know. Maybe, you know what I mean? It's kind of a double-edged thing for me. Like, I want to know, and I don't want to know. If there's 3 of them sitting right here behind my shed right now, maybe I don't want to know that. You know,
you might not go to that anymore.
Well, you know, I still don't like to go out there at night. I'll if I do need to go out there, I go get what I need and I go right back. And my wife makes fun of me. She's like, "You want me to go hold your hand?" And I'm like, "No, I want you to go hold a 12 gauge and a flashlight."
So,
wow.
So if I ask you if she's had any experiences, you're going to tell me no, because she doesn't understand what goes through your mind when you go out there to do that.
She is the world's biggest skeptic on anything.
Right now.
And they don't mess with her.
We need those.
They
we need
never
those.
mess with her.
Yep. Yeah,
she's never had anything happen.
She's not had.
Neither had mine until we heard the vocalizations in 2020.
Yeah, mine hasn't.
That turned her 180 degrees. You know, so.
We go ghost hunting all the time,
Yeah.
And you know, we've seen things and heard things together. But and I've taken her out 2 or 3 times, and she's not seen or heard, or I'll point something out, and she's like, "Nah, I don't get it."
So, Robbie, what'd your wife think the first time you told her? I'm sure that wasn't something you brought up when you were dating her. Were you dating her or married to her already or whatever?
No, we've been married, you know, a long time. And, you know, she's like, I don't think you're lying to me. She says, I believe you believe what you're seeing, you know, and that's, you know, it is what it is. It's like, I'm not going to try to tackle her and drag her out there and make her look at one, you know? But if somebody doesn't want to know that's there, they're not going to want to see the evidence, you know, no matter how much evidence you drag out.
Right.
You could,
and they're not going to believe
know,
it, not even think anything of it, probably. So
they'll make excuses up.
Yep.
You know, they'll say it was a deer. You know, they'll say that was a bear. You know, it's like their mind's not going to let them comprehend it's something that, you know, can't exist. You know, it's
their mind's already made up. So
yeah,
you know.
Well, you know, it's like that firefighter and that EMT that had that fake body a couple of years ago. We don't need that crap, because if there was anybody that was on the fence around that time, they were like,
AI.
Oh, I knew it was fake. I knew it was fake. You're all full of crap, you know.
AI.
Well, you know,
Exactly. AI.
The new movie, that new documentary that came out, people were right away. See, it's fake. See, it's fake. See, it's fake. I haven't seen the movie because I choose not to. You know, I think, like Jerry just mentioned, AI with the bringing in of AI, that's a goal for the government. Oh, here we go. That's a goal for the government to make us not believe anything. You know, that everything we see is either AI, you know, or it may be real, but it's probably AI. I've seen so many pictures lately that are just ridiculously AI. And I think they're going to do that if they're not already doing it. I mean, look at all the trail cam photos you see online of people. Is this a Bigfoot? I'm like, you're that, you know, that's so AI. It's not even funny, you know, right. But there's nothing we're going to do about it. We can't.
Yeah. That's a good statement there. Everything is fake if you don't believe. That's very true.
Yeah. It's like being, I think Chad said, or somebody said about being open-minded. I mean, you know, it's like being open-minded to everything. I mean, till something comes up and you actually see it or something like that.
Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
That's correct.
You just haven't seen it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, like a winning Cowboys team, you know? you know it could happen. It's probably not going to.
Oh, okay. There goes the show.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Harley's got a comment here, and Harley and I, we've not really talked back and forth, but we've liked each other's AI comments before. So I think we both feel the same way about AI. And that's, again, it's a shame that we're getting to that point that you can't trust what you see. And I think that's what until you've had the actual experience,
right.
You know, for somebody like me who hasn't had one, I know I will say I 100% believe they're out there, just because I have not seen it. With meeting Robbie, with meeting Bucky, with meeting Jerry and Jeff and Greg and Roger, I can't imagine that many people that aren't making money off of this are lying. You know, it doesn't make sense. So,
well, I mean, I put my name out there, and you know, with my experiences, and I had somebody recently say, "Well, do you want your name with this video?" And I'm like, "Yeah," because I'm just going to put it all out there. I have nothing to hide. I'll take a lie detector test. I'll put my hand on a stack of Bibles. And as a Christian, the one thing I will not do is lie on a Bible. I promise you that. These are my experiences, and take it for what it is. If you don't want to believe me, don't believe me. It's not going to change my life. I'm going to wake up tomorrow, God willing, and I'm going to be me, and I'm going to carry this experiences with me. And I wish people would believe me, because I don't want people to stumble across one in the woods and have zero idea what they're looking at, what's going on, how to react, you know.
And then do something stupid and end up being a missing 411.
There you go.
Wow, Hillary said something nice. Oh, my Lord. Thank you, Hillary.
That's not Hillary. It must be your
I'm
husband.
not going to lie to you. Yeah, I tell people I'm
Don't
not
worry,
going to
Hillary,
stand there.
I feel the same way.
I'm not going to stand there and pound it in somebody's head. It's fine. You don't believe? That's fine. That's what I told her. I said, it's fine.
Well,
That's your choice. That's your decision not to believe. It's fine.
Yep.
But don't stand there and tell me that I'm nuts.
Well, that's what I don't understand.
I know different.
Why people get so mad.
They get
people that believe in these things, and I've seen people just get so mad at somebody for believing, whether it be, you know, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, UFOs, ghosts. How can you believe in that? So stupid. I'm like, why are you so mad about it? Why can't
I almost wonder if those people that are so pissed off haven't had something happen to them and they just don't want to
admit it.
You know, whatever it was bad enough that they just want to act. No, it's not here.
Yeah.
It never happened.
That's what I say. The ones that crack me up the most are the avid hunters, the hunters that, you know, like I said, have been out in the middle of nowhere, a couple miles in the woods, whatever. I've never seen one. Bark, 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 bark.
Well, they always
say.
I will tell you this, Jerry. The majority of those guys that spent their entire life, quote unquote, hunting, I can usually see them about 30 yards from where they parked their pickup truck.
Exactly.
So, you know.
But still, nevertheless, were you looking for that? No, you were looking for deer.
Yeah.
You're squirrel hunting, you're looking for squirrel or whatever. You're not looking
Robbie,
for
I 100% believe you even more the fact that you have the hat that I have sitting in there in my room.
What William says here, I 100% agree with. They never believed us.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
You're fine. They never believed us natives when we warned them of these things that were out there. And, you know, I've mentioned it many times, the drawings on, you know, in Indian writing, the pictures they drew of these things. And, you know, that was a pure time. It wasn't a electronic cell phone computer time. These things were seen, or they wouldn't have drawn them. You know, that's
communicated about.
Yeah.
Well, isn't there like totem poles? Some totem poles represent, have like a Sasquatch type being on the same totem pole at several different locations.
Yeah.
Well, a perfect example of a hunter, right? So I go hunting one morning. I get out there at 3:30 in the morning. I find me a perfect tree to sit down at. I brush all the small leaves and sticks, and I clear me out a good spot so I can get comfortable. Right at daylight, from behind me, I hear a chush, chush, chush. And I say, oh, wow, something's coming right at me, right? So I pop my gun, you know, and I'm ready. This guy walks to the other side of the tree that I'm sitting at. And it's a big tree. Like, you know, this little gun's, you know, 3-4 foot around. So He literally walks to the other side of the tree, takes his butt, cheesh, cheesh, cheesh. And I'm sitting there like, what the hell? Lights a cigarette up. And he's sitting on the other side of the tree from me, has no clue I'm there.
Oh,
And he's blowing the whole morning. You know, and I'm 17, 18 at the time. I'm, you know.
How long was he there?
He was there for 2 minutes, right?
It doesn't matter.
2 minutes.
He's
The
leaving
other
snow.
Tell me you
He
scared
said-
the living crap out of him.
Oh yeah, I did. I thought about it. And finally, my gun's already cocked, right? So I just turn and shoot straight into the tree behind me on the other side. He flattens out on the ground. He's out on his face. He smashes his cigarette into his beard. Jumps up and he's scattering, and I'm like, "Did you see the deer?" He's like, No, what deer? I said, "That's right. You're never going to see a damn deer the way you hunt. You didn't even know I was over here. You didn't know I was over here. You lit a cigarette." I said, "You're making more noise than a garbage truck. You're never going to see a deer like that." And I just stopped and got on my four-wheeler and left.
Oh,
That's
my
not-
I had a guy, I was in full orange at a deer stand, and this guy really walked in within like 30 yards of me.
Yeah.
And this guy wasn't a hunter. I seen him walking around earlier on the neighbor's property at my buddy's, and he'd already scared the deer off once. He goes back around, finally sees me, and I'm in a full orange, you know, like I look like a popsicle sitting up there. And he stops, and he's looking. And he gets down behind the tree like he thinks I'm going to shoot at him or something. And
My dad come up and sat down beside me and woke me up. I felt asleep. It was like 70-some degrees Thanksgiving Day, you know, that afternoon after Thanksgiving dinner. You know how tired you usually are. Sitting there in the shade, you know, and then all of a sudden the sun hits me just right. I'm out like a light. My dad comes up to me and shakes me.
Now, I've never fell asleep.
I fell asleep in a deer stand. I woke up when it was dark out.
Not me. I've never.
Last day of gun season, I was like, well, I guess it's over.
Yeah. One of the last times I hunted, Jeff, was down by where your, I guess your grandmother had a cabin there on the Broad Creek.
Oh, down there off of Flintville.
Yeah, I was
in there.
just right up the hill from you guys.
Well, let me tell you
There's a little
something.
farm up there.
Talk about a booger area. That little area down there along the river. Whew.
But I can honestly say I never seen anything back then. I was 16 at that time, or 15.
That was
maybe.
where I had my dream that I saw one in the window.
I wasn't looking for one either, but I never saw one. But I
And
wasn't
the window
looking.
was on the second floor, so
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Sure, it was a dream.
I wonder about that.
Right. Anyway, okay, I want to get into this video here.
These videos, yeah.
Yeah, it's about 4 minutes total. By the time we get through it all, it's probably gonna take a little longer because I expect Robbie to tell us a little about each of the photos and stuff. We'll go ahead and bring it up here.
Ooh, money.
We're talking anytime, Robbie.
That track there was back in September. That's over here, you know, a couple miles from my house. I just got brave one day and thought I'd go out and look for a little bit. And like I said, I'm trying to put myself out there a little more. And then it wasn't that hard. I found that one within 5 minutes of being off in the woods over there.
Okay.
But I think that
like
one's from the big one.
I'm trying to show everybody where I'm looking, but you can't see my cursor, so never mind. Okay, move on.
Now that was literally one from my backyard. And I mean the toes are pretty clear there.
Yeah, you
In-
can
in my-
definitely see the digits. Yeah.
And I had people tell me, "Oh, that's just somebody pranking you." That was 13 degrees that morning. And I just don't see anybody walking around barefooted in my backyard at 9 and 13-degree weather just to try to play a prank on me. And if you know me, you know I keep a loaded 12 gauge by my bed at all times.
Yeah.
So, the idea of pranking me is probably not a good idea.
Introduce you to Mr. 12.
Yeah.
I'm going to click on that 2000 lumen headlamp and have a loaded 12 gauge pointed in that direction.
Yeah.
I've got two 12s with lights attached to them now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when me and Harley was out there in his research area. That's the day out, all the craziness. But I just thought that was an awesome picture, the way you could see the laurels, and it's just like Harley dripping off into his favorite place to be.
Yeah, it looks
That's neat. That's a very cool picture. Very cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
It shows you how dense the woods are there too.
It gets tighter than that. That's actually one of the wider spots down in that valley. Like I said, they can be right on top of you and you wouldn't know it.
Right. And woods is thick now through there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's getting down into where the spring area was. And like I said, we're finding tracks all the way down through here. We probably found, I'd say somewhere in the area of 15 to 20 tracks that day.
Wow. That's awesome.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's one of them. You can see the look on Harley's face there. He's like, oh, that's a good one. I believe that one was 19 inches. I can't see the ruler real well there, but I believe it was either 17 or 19.
Okay. Yeah, they're not really. It's hard to tell you unless you blow it up on your screen that you're watching.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's probably a 17 if I remember correctly. And that's a different track there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that
would be a little better. Yeah.
Yeah,
the light on it. That's the thing about looking at tracks. The lighting makes a big difference on how visible and how quick you can spot them.
looks pretty. That one looks about an inch deep, inch and a quarter.
Yeah, that one probably would have been a good one to cast.
Yeah. A lot of people try to cast the ones that just are on top of the ground, and that's hard to do.
I've never actually tried it, but I can imagine, from what I've seen from other people doing it, you need a fairly deep track in order to make any kind of a real cast.
I've only got to cast the ones that Les and I found up at the lake, and they were pretty deep. There was one that was as deep as my finger. That's 3 inches.
Wow. And like I said, it rained the day before we were there, so it really helped in spotting the tracks a lot easier.
Yeah.
That's another one from my backyard.
Yeah, that's pretty big. You can clearly see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one was between 13 to 14 inches. So, I've had different size tracks from that one up to a 17 inch. So I think there's, at least it's either one that's growing or, 2 different ones or 3 different ones.
Okay.
But yeah, that one really stuck out. Now that's within probably 60 feet of where I had my telepathy. And that tree was 10 inches around, green tree, no lightning strike. There's not a burn on it. That tree was literally grabbed about midways up at some point and just bent straight over, and it just exploded.
Yeah.
The amount of strength that it would take to snap a green 10-inch tree like that is it's crazy.
Was there any?
Almost looks like it got pulled apart.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jeff.
Looks like it was pulled apart.
It's actually exploded out. It looks like a grenade went off in the center of it.
Yeah, you can tell everything's pushed out. Yeah, pushed it.
But it looked like something could have twisted it afterwards.
It could have on the way down, but in person, it just looked really just like a small explosion had went off in it.
Was there any like slick spots where it looked like hands might have grabbed hold of it to twist it.
Not that I could tell, but I think that was probably a week or two old when I found it. So I don't know. To be honest with you, it freaked me out. I took the picture and I looked around for about a minute and I got the creepies and I left.
Oh, okay.
I'm not the bravest researcher, guys. I'll just tell you.
Now
that one is the lurker. I like I said, we've been hearing them behind us and beside us. So trying to go off of Harley, where Harley uses the back camera, the Scott Carpenter method. I didn't have a way to put the camera on my back. So what I did was I just pretended I was taking selfies. And I took a couple of pictures, but I'm really, concentrating more behind me. And after I got home and started going through the pictures, I noticed that you could kind of see him there. I'm saying he, I don't know if it's a he, but you can definitely see the brow, the eyes, and the bridge of the nose peeking through those laurels. And that's like 45 feet away behind me with the camera in reverse mode, which is not the best. Your reverse camera is usually not as good as your forward camera. So I felt lucky to get that picture there. I really did, because it was just basically take a couple of pictures and hope I get something. And I got lucky and I got something.
Yep. Yeah, there's no doubt with that. I can see it right away.
Yeah, what was the temperature? What was the temperature like, Robbie, with the exploding tree?
The exploded tree, that was during middle of summer. It was like 80-something degrees.
Okay.
Like maybe 85, 86. It was a little humid.
Huh.
And that day, me and Harley were this one here. It was probably in the 70s that day. It was enough that we were sweating while we were walking around in there.
Okay. Now you were thinking frozen. The core of the tree, it might have been frozen. That's what Chad was. I was thinking the same thing too when I originally seen it.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
Oh no, it was summer. It was humid in summertime.
Yeah. Now.
Yeah, that's the picture that I asked the question about earlier today. I did not understand what that picture was.
Looks like scratches to me.
That's the corner of the windshield of my car, and I didn't notice it until I got to work, and I parked under the fluorescent light. But it looks like 3 to 4 long, bony-looking fingers that had. I think they literally walked up to the car and put their hand on the corner of the car and tried to look in to see what they could see in the car.
Was the glass scratched at all, or just like fingerprints?
No, that's dew.
That's dew.
There was dew on the window,
and
I had actually ran the windshield wipers before I left, so there would have been more to it, but the windshield wiper took it out.
Oh, okay.
So it could have been an entire handprint before, and I just didn't know it because, in my driveway, there's a street light at the edge of the yard, but I wasn't thinking I'm going to looking for evidence. I just got in the car. I'm typically running 3 to 5 minutes late, leaving every morning because I drag ass around because I don't want to go. I'll do the work when I get there, but I just dread getting there.
Sure.
But like I just hopped in the car, my normal routine. I cleared the window off. I drove to work, and literally I turned the car off. And where I parked near the street light, I looked up and I was like, "Holy crap! Those are fingerprints."
Yeah.
Is
and
that like? How is that? Is it? I can't tell the direction of it.
I think that if you look to where the light is, the brightest part of it. I think that's where the thumb would have been.
Okay.
Because I think that was like it literally walked up to the driver's side and probably put its left hand on the car and then leaned in to look in the driver's side window.
Oh, okay.
That's my perception of what I interpreted from it.
Okay.
Well, I think it's wild because it looks like you can see some like hair.
Yeah, and you can see what looks like fingerprints.
Yeah,
the actual ridges on the fingers.
Yeah, the dermal ridges. Yeah.
Yeah, and I posted it on Harley's page, and someone told me they thought it looked more like a dog man print than it did a a Bigfoot print.
Why?
How the hell do you know?
Yeah, I don't.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't even prove that that's a Bigfoot print.
Right.
It's just an odd print that I discovered on my way to work, and after the car had been sitting in the driveway all night.
Yep.
Okay.
We had the same thing. We went camping in Alabama with one of the smaller meet and greets, and I had noticed we'd been there a couple days, but on one of the days, about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I walked behind the vehicle. It was a gravel road coming in, so there's dust everywhere, and I noticed like pretty clear, not dusted fingerprints on the back of our vehicle. And so I went over and got Flat Rock, and Roger came over and looked at it, and we came to the assumption with the size of the top of the finger to the middle of the finger, our humans, like I'm 5'10", and my top of my middle finger to the middle of my finger is about a half an inch. But on these fingerprints, it was about 1.25 inches to an
Hi,
inch
Jeffrey.
from the tip of the finger down. So it looked like this creature something had looked inside our vehicle while we were sleeping in it.
Yeah.
And so that was on a Saturday. We left on Sunday after we all took pictures of it. And then we drove back home, went to the lodge, cast iron skillet place there. I don't know. I never know the town. But it had rained the entire way, and those fingerprints were still there. So the oil in the fingers, they didn't wash off at all. So everybody came to the conclusion that something big but not monstrous touched the back of our car. So that's pretty.
I don't know if I asked you, Chad, future from that particular time. Did you ever wash the car to try to get that oil off, or?
I did not. It rained so much over time that I think even when we got it home, there were still remnants of it there.
Okay.
So
that's interesting. Wow.
But that's what that's what Flat Rock was telling me is keep an eye on that oil if that's still, and it rained. So the fact that the oily fingerprints were still there was telling. And whether it was a Bigfoot or not, I carry everywhere. The fact that somebody's looking in the back of my vehicle was unnerving.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Especially with a basketball player's hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to talk about unnerving? I'm telling you, man. I'll tell you what. Hi, Jeff.
When was the last show we stayed awake?
Anyway, let's move on here. We still got a good bit to see here yet.
That is really cool right there.
It is.
I think we know that guy.
That's one of the selfies there where I was trying to catch behind me.
Yes.
So
you can see how the territory is there, how packed it is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just when we got down to where that spring was, I mean, literally, you had laurels on you, 5 foot on both sides, and I literally look at Harley and like, yeah, this is absolutely a perfect ambush spot, and we just walked right into it.
Oh yeah, that's a perfect ambush spot right there.
Yeah, and like I said, you can imagine like that tree. If that tree behind Harley was the Bigfoot I saw, that's kind of the angle that I would have been looking at it over Harley.
Yeah.
So that can.
He was starting to snore.
I'm sorry. What was that?
I had to mute Jeffrey. He was starting to snore. He's done for
I won't take it personally.
No.
This is normal.
We're used to it. It's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
fine.
It's 9, quarter to 10. Yeah, it's normal for him. Now we're getting into some conference stuff here, I believe. Convention.
Yeah, that's Gatlinburg.
Oops.
Of course, Joe and Jesse.
Yeah, Joe and Jesse. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's well, I know his name, Lord Greg from.
He looks familiar.
Good Lord, I just lost. I just went completely blank. Really.
It's one of those people that Facebook tells me I need to be friends with. Um,
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Greg, yeah, somebody in chat will figure it out.
I'm really bad with names. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, Daryl's pretty tall because
Was that Greg Ogles?
Greg Ogle. Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Okay.
I got part of it. Relic Films. I'm sorry, Greg. But yeah, you can see Daryl's a little bit taller than me there. I'm 5'7", so.
Daryl did.
And that's the axe that I made for Harley. I didn't make the axe; I modified the axe. But I like to make knives and machetes and axes and stuff like that. I'll take an existing piece and I'll recreate it and change it. And like that one, it took about 6 inches off of it. I put a little bit more curve in the handle, and I did a cord wrap on it, restained it, and I painted the head on it, and they even put him a little Bigfoot up there on both sides of it.
That's nice.
There you go.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
That's what you see that on his back in some of the pictures. That's what's literally there.
Hey, Dano.
There's Dano and Roger.
Roger. That's McMinnville. Right?
That's McMinnville, yeah. Okay. And like I said, that's the one where I look like a hairy child standing next to them.
He's like a Chucky doll. Anyway.
Yeah.
Chucky doll.
I literally had a lady at work tell me I look like the dwarf from the Lord of the Rings.
Oh no, that's Jeff. Jeff is Gimli or whatever the dude's name is.
You guys are flanked by some legends right there.
Right there. Look at that.
Yeah, that's the photo Chad took.
Okay.
Hey, that's right. I do. Okay. I was like, picture. That's right. I did take that. That's right. Coombo, Flat Rock, and Dano. And Robbie.
Okay, no, that's Flat Rock there.
Yeah, Flat Rock's doing the yo right there. Just
doing the
piece thing right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Good man. All right there. They're all fantastic people.
Sorry. Sorry.
That's our soundtrack.
That would be an easy one to do, wouldn't it? Now I think we're going to get into some video here.
Yeah, that's that track that I had outlined in green a while ago. That's the video. Okay. And you know, when it's moving, you can see it a little bit better.
Yeah.
You can see the edge of the big toe and the back of the heel.
Yeah.
Now I think this is the trackway around the back where I was talking about the 5-foot strides leading to my bedroom window.
Well, you can see that one for sure.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other one.
Yep.
Well, you can really see that one. Heel toe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one's 17 inches.
Wow.
And that's the one that put the fear in me. That's the one that really okay, so I know a possible 9-footer was standing literally right behind my bedroom window. And that kind of shook me.
Wow. Have you seen any fingerprints on the windows or anything like that on the windows? No. I can't tell that they've ever actually touched the house or, other than the print on the car, nothing. But that big toe impression and that heel impression, is pretty obvious. And that's the video from the handprint there. Oh, wow. That's the inside.
Yeah, that's from inside the car, me looking at the light. I noticed that if I move my phone around a little bit, you can make out a little more detail on it.
It definitely looks oily. Yeah.
That looks wild.
Yeah. This is Harley doing the handprint. The audio's not coming in on it, but that's Harley talking about how his hand's 6 inches apart and the print is 10 inches apart.
It's crazy. We got the arch right here.
Yeah. Oh, there's the audio.
I went back too far. Let's run that clip again. The volume was turned down.
That is so awesome. You can see bones.
That is wild.
Yeah.
The cap and
There's so much going on right here. I know one thing's for certain. That's a handprint. For sure, this is. But all those other...
This
is
it could have
weird.
got down on the, you know, like
I mean,
on the, all
it's
fours.
crazy. We got the arch right here. You got the spring right there.
I
And
gotta get measurements on this hand.
there's
This is
flowing water right here.
From the tip
And right
of the
there,
hand to the
That's
finger
the
is
spot
10
that's
inches.
maxed down.
And mine is 6. So this is 10 inches. The exact same measurement. Well, hang on, let me get it right there. 10 inches, and mine is 6. So that's huge. That is huge.
Harley's got a big hand there.
Yeah.
big gloves.
But I can't make out the other fingers. But there's definitely 2 fingers. Like that.
Yeah, if it was pushing itself up,
Yeah,
it's
you
going to
said.
mash and it won't be a perfect print.
Now, I want to forewarn you, this next one, if you have the ability to enlarge your viewing screen, enlarge it. Look at it. Oh, man. Yeah, you see it move. I'll probably play this one twice. If you can enlarge your screen, folks, do it. It's when I've seen it at like 3 times this size that you're seeing it here, like this, it's amazing. I've seen the whites of the eyes around the pupil. Ah. Yeah. Yeah. That's creepy.
Right there, it turned and it turned away.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if it realized I could see it, but at that point, I think it realized that I definitely could see it, and then it's when it turned away.
Yeah. Yeah, that video, if you have the raw video away from here and put it on your computer screen where it's really large. Okay.
Kenny Haas asked, was the handprint hard to wash off?
Honestly, I didn't try. I
Same
just
here.
left it there, and I didn't even try because at the time I didn't really think about oily textures or nothing like that. I didn't think about trying to wash it off, and then later on, I've heard people talk about trying to wash off the residue and having a hard time with it. So that's just something now I've learned to look for.
Okay.
I was out recently with someone, and when we came back to the vehicle, he had a print on the back of his vehicle in the dust like that. And we took measurements, and he was going to leave it on there to see how it fared with the weather and taking the vehicle back and stuff like that.
Was it
Very
still
cool.
there the next morning or whenever you got done with work?
You couldn't see it as good during the daylight because, you know, at that point the dew had dried and everything on it. So I wished I had went back and took pictures of it later that day, but I wasn't really thinking that way.
Yeah, I'll do that next time, Roger. If there's a next time.
But you know, I'm learning.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
everybody,
that's the thing. We're all learning. You know, even Greg and Kumbo and them all still learn. So
Always.
Yeah, I feel blessed to have come across them, and you know, I'm trying to gain all the knowledge I can. And,
Hi, Jeffrey.
sorry about that, Robbie.
Sorry. Greg House, he's rebooting.
I'm restarting.
I'm sorry. I had to call him, wake him up. But anyway, I'll tell you, man, that's cool. It's good. You guys are in an awesome spot. I'm telling you, that area is amazing.
That's a squatchy good area.
Yeah,
Yes,
if people had any idea, if they would actually open their minds and take a little time to go look, they'd be surprised. You know, I was talking to one of my cousins recently, and he lives about 3 miles from here. And I asked him, I said, have you ever seen anything? No. He goes, but I have heard some stuff. And I said, well, what have you heard? And he says, well, I'll be sitting out smoking late at night, and I'll hear these loud screams coming from over on the lake. And I'm like a mountain lion? He goes, no, it's not a mountain lion. I know that. But, I mean, this is my own cousin. He's never talked to me about this.
Yeah, he's waking up's what he's doing. He's waking up.
He said, maybe I ought to go looking sometime. I said, you don't got to look hard. I said, take you a chair, walk out into the woods out there and just sit down and pay attention out of the corner of your eyes and see if they can catch them peeking at you. They'll come check you out. You don't have to try that hard, you know. They come check people out all the time. They want to know what you're doing. I've told somebody we got to be their TV because there's only so much stuff you can do in the woods.
We are their entertainment.
Well, like
for sure.
Scott Carpenter used to wear his GoPro on his backpack.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you said you've tried that. And I've got a mount on my backpack and pop my little GoPro in it.
Yeah, I've been looking to get a GoPro.
Well,
yeah,
mine's not an actual GoPro, but it looks like one.
I don't think it cares. Whatever works. So
there's other companies out there.
Yeah.
Some of them are better than GoPros, believe it or not, with
You're
their
paying for a
ability
name.
not to overheat and shut off. So
You're paying for a name.
Yeah.
I have one. I have a GoPro 7.
How many things you bought on Amazon or Temu that actually, well, Temu not as much, but that actually work great. That you were talking about. You bought a cheap pair of night vision. I bought a pair of night vision. I paid the least price I wanted to pay for it, and I honestly, it's good for up to probably 150 yards of good clarity, and then it kind of lose it after that. But that's good enough for me.
It's like a video camera, and it's got the little screen. It was just a couple $100.
Patrick says batteries don't last.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My night vision is Temu. They were $20, $29. They were when they want to work.
I carry extra battery. Well, we carry extra battery packs when we go on the road for whatever reason, for our phones, whatever, as part of bugging out stuff. But those work great if you want to use them for your cameras too.
It's hard on your eyes, Greg. Mine, you just look through with one eye. They make the kind you can, like a set of binoculars. But just looking through one with one eye and then pulling it down and trying to, it's tough. I can't imagine looking through a binocular style.
Like a 3x2 screen, and you just hold it up.
What's the matter, Chad?
Yeah. Oh, I was reading a post in there.
Yeah, that's kind of how mine is. It's got the one screen, but it is a little like if you take it away from your eyes, it takes your eyes a second to readjust.
Yeah. And to be quite honest with you, Robbie, to be quite honest, I don't want that out in the middle of the woods. You know, I don't want my eyes to have to readjust when I turn them off.
I don't want to pull them down, then take 2 or 3 steps and be nose to nose with something, you know.
Right.
Thermal's definitely the way, and much better. Thermal's much better.
Yeah.
But
Steve
you're blinded.
I've got a flashlight.
About that. One of the guys that he used to know, who was a backwoods guide up in Canada, he was one of the starch non-believers, you know, nothing. I've never seen it. I've been out here 23 years. I've never seen anything. He literally came to a V in the tree line and walked dead into a Bigfoot. Like his nose bounced off the bottom of its chest. He hit his butt. He looks up. It looks down at him, snorts like it's disgusted, and just turns and goes back the way it went.
Oh my God.
He said that guy went home. Now, 23 years as a professional guide, he went home. Within 3 weeks, he sold all of his equipment and moved to the middle of the city and won't even go in a park.
Well, it seems
You
to
know,
happen.
But
quite
he's
a few
crazy and
people.
he's not telling the truth, right? That's that's great.
Right. That's what everybody will say. Sure.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
The non-believers are like, oh, whatever, you know. But
One of the
But-
things, and you see it too, Robbie, is how many people in Tennessee have Bigfoots on their property? Is the big signs and Bigfoot stickers on their cars, and
same
you kind of just want to get. I
Like
tell
the
these
guy
guys, like,
there at Jeff's on Jeff's wall.
yeah, you kind of want to get out and ask people, drive up their driveway and say, hey, have you seen a Bigfoot? But then you realize you live in Tennessee, and driving up somebody's driveway isn't always the smartest thing to do.
Yeah.
Virginia,
Yeah.
You don't do that in West Virginia either.
Yeah, but that's another state, yeah.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't know
got-
what you're going to get here when you go Broadway.
You got people like
I've got
Robbie.
several people on the back window of my truck, and people will come up to me at Lowe's or different places and go, "You believe in that?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, I've seen them. I know they're real." And then they'll look around, and then here comes the story.
There you go. Right. That's what I'm always curious in. But that's good because we've got a show sticker, and then we have a Beards and Booger sticker and Old Line Cryptid stickers, and then a giant Bigfoot on the other side. And I'm really hoping I get somebody to come up and to ask, because you have to see them. You can't miss the stickers. So I'm hoping one of these days we get some people to come up and we can carry on a conversation about all of this.
I've had 5 people, at least 5, come up to me and tell me about their stories, and 2 of them were preachers, and one of them is a constable. And there's one guy told me, he recently said, I strung the 5-string barbed wire fence that I watched one step over.
Wow.
He said, I know how high that fence is. He said, I strung it. And he said it stepped over it with one step and kept going like it was never there.
It's crazy.
Wow, that's crazy.
This guy's a preacher. And I'm probably the only person he's ever told that story to. So, and that's like 7-8 miles from my house.
Yeah. And just remember, nobody's making any money off this thing, and nobody's looking for notoriety or fame.
Well, there are
to
people
tell.
for notoriety and fame, but
They're not trying to BS you, because there's what's in it for them.
right.
What's in it for them is aggravation, and probably the fact that you're going to be made fun of or whatever.
Yeah, ridicule.
But yeah,
Lose friends.
you know better. So
Yeah.
Ridicule.
I mean,
What about
This
orbs
was-
or anything like that? Have you
yeah,
seen-
orbs.
Yeah.
I was going to thank you. I was thinking about asking that question about orbs. Have you seen any orbs out there?
yeah, small white ones. And the weird part about it is I can't see them with my eyes. I can only see them on my security camera.
Yes.
And
Okay.
then,
I know what you're talking about.
I'm the same. Yep.
so I'll go out there. That one time, me and my wife were arguing over whether it was a bug in front of the lens. And I'm like, I'll go out there and check. I literally walk out, and when I walk out, the orb turned from white to blue when I walked out there.
Yeah, because I've seen like whenever we've done ghost hunts, and you'll see something, and you can't see it with your eye, but you can see it on the video or on a picture.
I think it has something to do with the light refraction and the what am I thinking? The camera throws a beam,
Infrared. Is that what it is?
infrared. Yeah. So, and I think that's the same thing with the trail cameras is I think they see in a different light level than we do. And when they walk up, that infrared beam probably looks like a spotlight on the ground to them.
Well, yeah. Think about a deer on a trail cam. They always look at the trail cam.
Yeah.
The animals know where the trail cam is.
My son-in-law had an 8-point buck walk right up and take a selfie with his trail camera. mean, it walked right up to it and was like, "Hey, buddy," you know. And
Yeah, I had when I first started doing this, my trail camera, I had 2 does come up. They come up to it. Hang on a second, guys.
It's just a dog. You're okay.
I don't know what.
It just snores louder than that.
have you heard about the fighter pilot over in Afghanistan that had the he called it a giant, but you know they're shooting their infrared beams from 3 to 5 miles up, right? But this is like super high tech. He made a pass over the valley. He sees something on the heat scan. He turns on the infrared, and when he turns it on from miles up, it put his hand up in front of its face like the infrared hurt its eyes.
Interesting.
So it took off up the valley, and he said anytime he made a pass over it, it would put its hand up like the infrared hurt its eyes.
Or was it at night or during the day?
It was during the night.
Okay, because in case the sun would be involved. So okay, that's
yeah.
pretty.
So it could see the infrared beam apparently, because as soon as he would turn it on, it would immediately put its hand over its eyes, and this is from miles up.
Now
Robbie,
go ahead. I'm sorry. I was going to say, do you have a dog?
A what?
Do you have a dog or a cat?
I do not. No.
Okay. So I have a cat and I've owned dogs. You'll get that where they just stare at something and their hackles come up on their back, and it's in your house. It's outside. So they see things that we can't see. And, infrared is one of them. And, when we first moved where we live, we had deer in our front yard. Well, I put security cams up all around because I'm paranoid and anti-government. And the deer stopped coming in our yard. They will not enter where the security cameras are because of those.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's the light.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I didn't want them to stay out.
We just had that conversation here. We'll look down the hallway. We'll watch one of our cats, and they're just staring down the hallway. There's no noise or nothing. Of course, they can hear much better than we can.
Oh, yeah, my dog does
Nothing.
that.
Nothing. But they're glued to something. They're like, what the hell is back there? But there's,
I got a friend who goes out with just him and his dog, and he's had quite a bit of activity. He's down in Georgia, and he was out the other night, and his dog was just, that dog looked like it looked like somebody smoking weed and a cop had walked up. That paranoid, oh crap, that dog was just paranoid as all get out. And
I've got a dog that does that. She'll be sitting on the couch and she'll look through the house and start barking. And I took my SLS one night and turned it on, and there was actually something on my SLS in the area where she was barking.
Oh wow. That's comforting, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I sometimes think that cats are smart enough just to mess with you. If I stare off the direction, they'll start worrying about what's in that corner, and then I can go do what the hell I want to do.
Yeah, cats are pretty awesome.
That was pretty good. I like that one.
All right. Well, we're almost at the 2-hour mark. Man, what a show.
Robbie, fantastic guest, man. I'm glad we could actually meet you. And
awesome.
I've had a great time. I've enjoyed talking to you all. It's just like when I went to McMinnville. I feel like I know all you all already. So
awesome. We appreciate it. Yeah, it's very enjoyable. Love the video. Like I say, man, I hope some of the people could enlarge their screen or that video feed, because I saw it, like I said, right away, and I'm like, I can see the whites of the eyes, man.
The bad part about it was we had so much happen that day. I forgot I even got that. And then we were going to do an episode of the Cryptid podcast, and I was going back through and just, picking snippets out, because like I said, I can't share the whole thing because I shot 45 minutes on my phone, and you can't send those files. You have to cut it down into like minute here, minute there. I nearly fell off the couch when I saw that. I was like, holy crap, that's a dog man. Like I was 50 something feet from a freaking dog man and didn't even realize it.
It's got the
and
look,
that's when
for sure.
Me and Harley were talking, maybe, either we irritated the Bigfoot that day, or maybe the Bigfoot was trying to run us out of there to save our lives. They may have been doing us a favor. It may not have been aggression. It may have been like, hey, would you idiots get out of here before that thing gets a hold of you?
Yeah, could be. Again, we're not going to know this stuff, but that's a great way to look at it. You don't know. Maybe these things are more protectors than they are. There's aggressive stories, but we don't know the whole, the backlog to why they get aggressive. You might have been in their territory. You might have been close to a kid.
Might have been a hunt.
Yeah, but maybe these things are actually there just like, hey, get out of my forest.
They move you out of the areas for a reason.
Yeah. Right now, just get out because something here is going to harm you. So maybe they're, you're right. Maybe
it's either them or something else.
Could have been having one.
When we got to the clearing, I literally turned around and we could see one on the bank. I don't know if it was the one that was chasing us or if it was a different one, but we could see a real dark spot between two trees. And, it's not something you can get a picture of and go, yes, oh, look, there it is. But we knew where it was at. And I literally apologized. I'm like, I'm sorry. I got the message. We're leaving. I apologized. I did.
Yeah. That's cool.
And then we walked out and we didn't run because, you don't want to give that perception of weakness, but that was the fastest mile my chubby butt's covered since high school. I promise you that.
Well, that's what I tell everybody. Robbie, I played sports my whole life, and I tell everybody that I don't run anymore. And so if you see me running, you better hightail it out.
Because right.
Especially if you've got a backpack on and you got oh, that's what's hard.
Yeah.
I carry, if I go, I carry a 3-day pack.
Yeah.
Because if I get lost, if you get lost in those woods over there, as thick as those laurels are, I mean, you could be there before a while. I got the emergency whistle. I've got the squeezable peanut butter. I got the energy chew beans, water. I've even got a 5-minute smoke bomb in case I need to try to signal somebody. I've got a rechargeable hand crank flashlight. I carry enough ammo that I can fire off, signals for quite a bit.
Yeah.
I
used to be dumb enough to go to the woods with 3 rounds and think I was okay.
2 for whatever you're shooting at and 1 for you. Anyway,
you got to have the 3 rounds to make the emergency. Hey.
Yeah.
3 rounds is I have a problem. That's what 3 rounds means.
Yeah. Well, that's what I carry the 22 for, I've got a 7-shot 22 revolver and I'll carry 50 rounds with me for it. And then if nothing else, I can use it like a little flare gun. But
I'm taking flares with me. I might end up lighting the forest on fire, but someone's going to find me.
It's like the old saying, if you're ever lost in the woods, build a house and the tax collector will come find you to get some money from
in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. You bet.
Yep.
The sound of the first hammer hitting the nail.
Start building a cabin. As soon as you get the front of the house built, they'll find you.
Yeah.
I'll find you.
They're going to show up and want to know what permits you've already got and which one you don't have yet.
That's right.
Can almost keep up a coon bill.
That's like when you buy a vehicle, you can't escape being. I've got so many extended car warranties. People calling me from buying a used pickup. I mean, yeah.
Off the rails.
Off the rails.
Okay.
Robbie,
all right, we're at 2 hours. We hit the 2 hour mark.
Again, Robbie, thanks for being here, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I look forward to meeting you again.
Hey, I'll try my best to be at McMinnville this year, and I'm going to try to go down to Arkansas. Dano from the Cryptid Podcast, he's going to be speaking at a conference down there on June the 5th.
Wow.
And I've never been past Land Between the Lakes, so I'm going to try to go down there and see him. And Josh Smith from Mysteries Unknown, he's going to be there. So they're going to have a little meet and greet on the day before the conference. So it's going to be a big time. You know, if anybody can come out, you know, come on down. It's Knoxville, Arkansas.
That's a long way from home.
Yeah. Well, you know, if
We're
they
up
could have
here
had
in
Knoxville, Tennessee, you know, Knoxville, Tennessee would have been great for me.
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah,
Me
right.
too.
Knoxville, Arkansas.
yeah. And it's going to be the first week of June, the first weekend in June.
Yeah.
And I don't know the name of the conference yet. This is a first time conference. And I don't know the name of it yet, but you can get in contact with Daniel Hamilton over at the Cryptid Podcast, and he can put you in contact with everybody and all the information.
He was in here a little while ago.
Yep, Dan
Oh,
was
was
here.
he?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
Yep, sure.
Hey,
was.
him and Josh, man, they're like my brothers now. I love those guys to death.
Yeah, they're good dudes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That, you know, Dano was the first podcast I did. He was the first time I publicly spoke about any of this, and Josh right after that. So, you know, they made me feel comfortable, and they let me know that there are people out there that will treat you with respect and
I've talked to
and
both
not try to you know, not try to drill you and catch you in a lie, you know, or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, you don't.
Keep them
I'm okay with people asking questions. You know, I've got nothing to hide. But they made me feel comfortable, you know, and that was important.
That's a good one. Yep.
How can you come to a show, you know, and be comfortable thinking you're going to get nailed to a wall or something? That's not what it's about, you know.
Oh yeah, there was people in the comments said, you didn't drill him, you didn't ask him any hard questions. And Daniel says it wasn't an interrogation, it was an interview.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good way to put it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but you know,
Yeah,
somebody's always got to needle peck a little bit or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But you know,
Sure.
like I said, I got tough skin. You know.
That's
You'll
why I don't
learn a
like
lot.
these. I don't like these channels where it goes, "Tell us about your encounter," and then as soon as you talk about it, they're like, "All right, get out of here." That's how that works.
Yeah.
Treat him like a human
Well,
being.
Yep.
We're just people having an experience.
Yep. That's right.
having
That's
a good
right.
time.
Believe it if you want. You don't have to, but believe it if you want.
Yeah.
Draw your own conclusions.
People just having a good time in the woods.
Yeah.
And that's you from West Virginia.
Yep.
Then you
I'd
run
rather
and
be
you-
there than Maryland right now, believe me.
Don't know what
I'm
mood
not
you're
kidding.
in.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
It sucks. I hate Maryland, man.
Hey, I'm just glad I'm on this side of the Virginia line over here. So
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
there's some stuff going over there that I just can't abide by.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Virginia,
It's only the
Pennsylvania,
beginning. It's only the beginning. Maryland, it's only the beginning.
states
Yeah.
that created their freedom are now losing freedoms. So
Yep.
That's a
That's a
show
whole
for the
different
iCast podcast.
that's a whole different
conversation.
Yeah, for sure. That's the iCast podcast subject there.
Like Greg House says, if my guns ain't welcome, then I ain't welcome, and that's how I believe it.
Yep.
That's why
Lord have
Greg
mercy.
won't go to Canada.
Well, lots of reasons you don't want to go to Canada. Canada's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It's just politically. Go to Alberta, Saskatchewan, over that area.
They're talking about trying to ban smoking in the UK now. Did you see that one?
Yeah, if you're born after 2008. I believe.
Yes. Oh,
They're trying to ban a lot of things over there.
18 years old, you're an adult. That's your decision. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I used to smoke and I quit, and
That was your
Yeah.
choice.
but I don't deny. If you want to smoke. Don't blow up my face, but you know what I mean.
right.
But you
My
know,
wife's cousin went to Canada to do some work, and he dipped Copenhagen. And he got up there and went to one of their stores, and he tried to buy Copenhagen. They were like, "What are you talking about?"
yeah.
They had no
Really?
idea what Copenhagen was.
Oh my God.
Copenhagen,
My
New
friends
York.
were there years ago, and they sold Skull in like it was like a full 10 or a half 10. A half a 10 was $10.
Yeah.
Now that 10 Canadian or 10 US?
You sound upset, Jeff.
It was like $25 for like one can.
Yeah.
Of dip.
Yeah.
Like a whole can.
Well, the next trip back, he took 2 rolls with him, which is the max.
$25.
He took 2 rolls back with him, and they gave him a tremendous time at the border because he wanted to take 2 rolls in with him.
I bet.
Yep.
And they're like, "How much of this stuff do you use?" And he goes, "Well, I go through a can about every 3 days. That seems a bit excessive." And he goes, "Okay."
Okay, liver.
My
Anyway.
dad don't ask questions,
Yeah.
It's crazy. All right.
Yep.
Let's do this thing. That's you can.
And that's a wrap.
Yeah, right. That's right, Bigfoot. Bud, you're
We need
right.
to get one of those clappers.
Yeah, we'll have to get Robbie back on sometime when we got some more stuff.
Absolutely. I was gonna real quick.
Well, Jeff,
Do you
can actually listen to him.
do you and Harley have another trip out in the woods planned here soon, or?
We're kind of in a holding pattern right now because of his work and where he's moved further on down. We're going to get back together.
Okay.
We had one planned for December and it didn't work out because I got sick. But whatever that crap around that wasn't the C word.
We'll get Harley on. We'll get you and Harley both on next time. We haven't had Harley on in a while, so
Yeah.
be nice to see
Get his butt up and get him on here. He needs to be on here talking too.
Oh yeah. He's been on a couple. We've had about 2 or 3 times. Yeah, we've had him.
Yeah.
Wiener heads. We're all wiener heads. Thank you, Hillary.
You were talking nice earlier, and now we're wiener heads.
That's Hillary.
Hi, Verby. Thank you, Verby. All right, y'all. We're gonna get out of here. I guess Jeff next week. I guess we'll have the lady with many, many, many happenings coming.
Apparently, she had some more stuff happen since our last episode.
Part 3. Yep. She thought she was on tonight, but we had Robbie scheduled, and so
I stuck right in there.
Sound like a plan?
Hey.
And yes, I did fall asleep. I know.
No, you don't say. Not you.
Just rest in your eyes.
Next is going to be we're going to start taking bets on what time you fall asleep.
Well, I can tell you right now, with the amount of photos and stuff that he and I have received for the next show,
He's done.
I'll be
Jeff
out
ain't going to
within,
last
like,
5
first
minutes.
35 minutes. It ain't going to take long at all.
It doesn't last long.
For some reason, Robbie, whenever we have to do videos and or pictures, if I'm sitting backstage too long,
he's gone.
Wait. We didn't have a whole lot of videos and pictures tonight, and you fell asleep. So don't use that as an excuse, Jeffrey.
Anytime somebody has videos or pictures, it puts me out.
And the bad part is,
before we played it.
It's like listening to Cam Buckner. I just.
Oh,
poor Cam.
That's my ASMR. I listen to Cam Buckner and fall asleep.
Hey, I love Cam. I've got to meet him a couple of times now.
He was at the LBL on this last trip. Chad
I didn't know who he was. I didn't know who he was. As soon as he opened his mouth, I knew exactly who he was.
Yeah. Can't miss that voice.
voice.
You can't miss the voice, yeah.
Yep.
He told Maggie, he's like, just let you know I snore, because he was sleeping down right next to him, I guess.
I love when him and DA get together. They make a good team.
DA.
All right.
Yep. I ain't got to meet DA or Robbie yet, so.
Oh yeah. You'll
like good crew there. Yep.
Robbie got to the LBL this year. DA didn't make it.
Yep. Doc was awesome.
Doc was there.
Jeff, you're not
Somebody said Robbie broke down on the way home.
Yeah, he did. He had a wheel hub or something in his pickup went
Right,
out.
bearing, wheel bearing. Probably.
Yeah, bearing.
Yep.
He
Oh,
said
that's
he tried to go this way and the wheel went the other way.
Not good.
I know about these car problems. I'm I'm beginning to like. I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna have to turn it over to a professional and see what they say.
You
know, it's bad.
You can fix a lot of stuff on YouTube, but you can only go so far before you're like.
Yeah, that diagnostic tool's where it puts an end.
You can only crack your knuckles so many times and say so many curse words before you need, to take it to a professional.
It's also fun when you're
sense
driving down the road and your instrument panel dies when you're making a turn and the engine shuts off and you're like, oh shit.
That's
and,
an
and you're driving a manual, so you just, pop it into gear again. And
I was driving down the road in a borrowed car one day, and I went into a curve. And as I made the turn, the steering wheel came off in my hands.
Oh, Lord.
That ain't good.
And I didn't aim or nothing. I just crammed it, and I hit it right on the teeth, and it went right back in place.
You're lucky. You're lucky.
Yeah,
On a turn,
I pulled over. I got out, and I got down on the ground. And I kissed the ground.
I bet. I would, yeah.
That's
it's
not
like
good.
when you're on one of them icy turns and you counter steer it, and then it gets away from you, and you counter steer it back again, and you're like, did I just do that? And you're like, just driving straight down the road again.
Yeah, I like those happy accidents. You just claim it was talent after it's over with.
Yeah. You're like, man, I'm a really good driver.
Yeah.
Or I'm just a blessed idiot. One of the two.
Hey, I'm just glad God liked me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. There's a lot of times I should not have,
Good night, Jeff. You done had your damn nap. The rest of us are going to sleep, all right?
And now that I
Thanks
have my
for having
siesta, I'm good for a couple more hours now.
Yeah. Well, go get on a night chat with somebody. Uh-oh, my phone's gone.
I know, Chad.
It's been fun. I really appreciate y'all having me.
Thanks for being here, Robbie. You're a great guest.
I gotta get out to Tennessee sometime and come poke around the woods.
Come on down. We'll go, as they say, we'll go look for some boogers.
I'm gonna be very height challenged if I gotta go with you and Harley.
We're going to use you as bait.
Everywhere.
You're going to be booger bait.
That's right, because I'm sure you're the slowest.
He likes peanut butter. Just spread peanut butter on it.
You'd be surprised. I have an afterburner that people don't know about.
We don't need to know about that, Jeff.
Yeah. Salute.
Okay. With that,
try it now, Jerry.
We'll see everybody next Tuesday at 8 p.m.
Next Tuesday. Thanks, Robbie.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robbie. Thank you, everybody in chat. See you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, folks.
Wow.